from our life. Margin is that thing that God has given us between what is our normal limit and what is the load that we're carrying. And there's a margin between that load and that limit. And there are times, listen, there are times that we all dip into that reserve. There are times where we dip into the reserves of that margin in our life, but here's the problem. Some of you have taken a camper and you've set up reservation in that area. You are absolutely allowing yourself to be living in those margins, which were only intended to be on occasion dipped into between limit and load, and now you're just living there. The speed of light, the speed of life. And you strip those healthy margins away, and so what happens is you begin to expend that extra energy, you began to expand activities, but you never consider the expensive toll that it does to your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Many times people don't realize that until it's far too late. What happens when we get busy? What happens to us when we begin moving at such a pace and speed? Let me tell you what happens for a lot of people. The first thing that gets cut is their spiritual walk. They begin saying, you know what, listen, church will always be there. I can gather with the saints on another week. I'm just going to reach into that margin. I've got some things I'm always wanting to do. I'm going to grab into that time that you've set aside for the Lord. There are times you begin to rob your relationships. You rob that with some of your families or your friends and some of those important individuals in your life. You begin to rob that time from them. You've taken the margin away. And here's what happens, and I'm just going to be really honest. Many of you don't realize that until damage is already done. We don't realize what an impact that makes in our lives. And this speed of life, the common response is as we grow weary. We have this tendency to grow weary, but yet we get tired, but we press on. We get tired, but we press on. And it's important for you to understand this, is that God has designed your life to recognize fatigue so that you will rest. But many of us, we push through fatigue and we keep leaning in, trying to move at the same speed when that fatigue is there. And there comes a point, and science will tell you this, there comes a point when that fatigue begins to work adversely on your spirit, on your body. Proverbs 22 and verse 3 says, a prudent man sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it. The prudent person sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple keep going and they suffer for it. Here's what this does in this situation. How many times have you seen some of those warning lights going off in your life, in your relationships, in your mental health, in your spiritual health, in your physical health?